No, there. No. Ah. Hello. I forgot I am not in it today. I thought it was I thought it was one button to start streaming, but it's two, and I forgot. No. No. Ah. No, I need to go back. No. Oh, I can. All right. This is the trial version of the game. Oh, thank goodness for a rewind button. I was just reading it, and I wasn't even streaming. This is a story of two witches residing in a mansion upon a hill. Sorry, I was so into the story. No. Chapter 1, Section 5. Witch on a Holy Night trial. Can you see everything now? Is everything fine? Mistakes happen to the best of us. Thank you. Alright, much like the weather outside, the foyer was overcast with shades of gray. Perhaps by deliberate design, the architect had chosen not to include any lights in the entrance area. The ceiling was 2 floors high. The only light in the room came from the skylight. It was particularly gloomy on rainy days. On moonless nights, it was like the world itself ceased to be. Alco decided the drawing room to the east would be a good place to rest, but knowing that she would not be able to relax until she changed clothes, she started up the stairs. The stairs curled up the wall to the 2nd floor hall. There was a 3rd floor attic as well, accessible from the far end of the hall. She had never set foot in there, in the 2 years she had lived here, though. The Kuonji Manor was more or less divided into 2 wings, east and west. Alco had been given the entire east wing, but 2 rooms were more than enough as far as she was concerned. She had no desire to open a door that would trap you in a storybook world, or lead to an attic that had only been— Wait, what? Nah. Alco's room was at the end of the east wing's long corridor. She had elected for a smaller room for no other reason other than she thought it would be easier to clean. It was furnished with a large bed, her beloved mahogany desk, a wardrobe and a chest for her clothes, and 2 9-shelf bookcases. That is all she brought with her from home. Her entire life of 16 years, reduced to this. She borrowed the next room down for her own purposes. Oh yeah, I should check on the watchtower I got from Alice. She needed to see if the project she had been working on all night had borne fruit. The study next door served as proof of the life she had been living for the last year, and how different that life was from the one she had lived before. It was not a room for the person she had been. It was a room for the person she would eventually become, a place of solitude that only she could enter, or so she thought. I don't know if to read over the spoken dialogue, like while they're speaking, or just to wait. So I'm just waiting. Wow, not only did it break, it vanished without trace. Looks like I've still got a long way to go. Go ahead, laugh it up, Robin. The noisy neighbor that had intruded upon her sanctuary flew away. It's quite interesting as this chapter is in the middle of the novel. Really? That's weird. Yeah. During during my off-stream reading, apparently, I did say like 1 point, like chapter, like 1.5? It's weird. I missed so much. But it's interesting that they're having this be for the demo version. So I wonder what made them decide this chapter to be for the trial version. We'll see. While not exceptionally talented, Alco did not lack for effort and was not afraid to fail. One could have almost mistaken her approach for optimism. She changed out of her uniform and returned to the first floor. Oh wait, I already read that. Down the stairs, she opened the door to the east wing into the corridor as dark as a cellar. The absence of windows meant it was pitch black without lights on, so she flicked the switch and entered the nearby doorway. Well, I think it's because the beginning is relatively slow setup, while this lands you directly with how most of the novel is like, makes sense. Gosh, the music, I don't know if you can hear it. It's showing up on my OBS. Life without electricity. I don't even want to imagine it. But yeah, the music, it's so good! It had been her idea to update the drawing room. The walls were decorated with extravagant patterns. And around the room were large, majestic sofas and a luxurious Persian rug. Amidst it all was a 30-inch television that seemed completely out of place. Wow, this is old light novel. I haven't seen TV like that since like the early 2010, like before 2010. My gosh. Is that VHS? Whoa. It stood looking over the furniture like the emperor with no clothes. The mansion's owner would have rather done without it, but to a commoner like Alco, it was an essential commodity. Well, it is set in the late 80s, that makes sense. They had fought over its presence at first, but eventually came to an agreement, and now mutually enjoy the modern comfort. Guess I'm one to talk. I came from a pretty traditional household myself. Now, in a somewhat pleasant mood, she decided to brew some tea. She boiled some water in the kitchen, prepared a teapot, and made herself some black tea. Wow. It's a nice house. Well, it is a mansion. With a flop, she sank into the sofa. She took a sip of her tea, then another. Gosh, the different angles to show it's a very. I did not know light visual novels were this good. I started off with peak right from the top. I don't know if I'm going up or down from here. Lulled by the ticking of the clock, she took a third sip as she pondered how to spend her afternoon. Though the sofa almost seemed to be inviting her, and she sunk even further into its comforting embrace. Alco blurrily opened her eyes as she lifted her body from the cushions. It's a proper orchestra playing as well. Ah, that's so good! That's so cool! This was no dream or delusion. At some point, a girl had sat down across from her. Not the least bit surprised, she reached for her teacup, but the tea within had gone completely cold. Did I doze off? She asked the question to the girl on the other side of the table. Yes. The girl answered without lifting her gaze. When silent, she could have been mistaken for a beautiful doll. The girl sitting on the opposite sofa was reading an old book. She had delicate limbs and a pale white skin. Not a hint of humanity emanated from her melancholic aura. She had darker hair than Alco, and her icy eyes were focused on the pages in front of her. Her clothes resembled that of a nun, but were actually her school uniform. In Alco's humble opinion, the gloominess suited her. She invoked something like out of a painting. There was something unreal about her, as if she were frozen in time. The white of her neck was so lovely that even Alco found herself enchanted by it. The girl was one of the haunted house's 2 residents. Her name was Alice Guonji, and she was the same age as Alco. How long was I asleep?
1時間と少し。ここで眠ると風邪ひくわよ。
At least an hour. You'll catch a cold if you keep sleeping here. Alice answered indifferently. Not that it bothered Alco, who was now used to it. She looked at the clock on the wall and said that it was already 7. She had been asleep for 2 hours. The day had been a rough one for her, and she had slept little the night before, so it was no surprise that she had dozed off for as long as she had.
起こしてくれてもよかったのに。
You could have woken me up.
せっかくの紅茶が冷めちゃったじゃない。
Now my tea is cold.
私が来た時はもう冷めてたわ。
It was already cold by the time I got here.
でしょうね。行ってみただけよ。
I'm sure it was. I'm just saying. Alco drank down the rest of the cold tea in one gulp. In the poorly heated Kyonji manner, that was more than enough to clear her head and wake up.
こうなると、フォートナム&メイソンも何もないわね。
Nothing quite beats this tea, not even the expensive kind from Britain.
おかえり、アリス。玉の贅沢もあんた抜きじゃ閉まらないってことかしら。
Anyway, welcome home, Alice. The universe seems determined to keep me from even the occasional luxury without you.
今日は薬日か天中殺か。ちょっと早いけど、お参りってのも十分ありかもね。
What is it about today? Is it just my luck or what? At this rate, I'm due a temple visit just to be safe. Alco shrugged her shoulders as if resigning herself to her fate.
それで何があったの?
Something happened? After 2 years together, they knew each other quite well. Alco had one way of asking questions, and Alice had another. Alice asked without raising her head, and Alco gave her the details.
まず謝らなくちゃいけない。
I should start by apologizing.
昨日徹夜で完成させた例のあれ、意味がなくなっちゃったのよ。ちょっと目を離した隙に沸騰しすぎて壊れちゃったみたい。
The project I was working on all night was a total failure, and even though I only took my eyes off it for a second, it must have boiled over and been destroyed.
そうならないよう、循環のコードを2、3本外したり、縫合したりしたんだけど。
Though, I'll add that I shuffled the circulation codes as a precaution. Alco tried to laugh it off, as if it was someone else's problem.
どういうこと？
And
今朝休養が入って学校に呼び出し受けたの。そこで転入生の世話を押し付けられて、一日が無残にも消費されちゃって、帰ってきたら跡形もなく消えてました。
something came up this morning, and I was called into school. They made me show this transfer student around, and it took up my whole day. By the time I got back, it had vanished without a trace.
怒る？アリス。
You're not mad, are you?
別に青子の器物破損にいちいち怒っていたら一生分の口論をすることになるでしょ。
Hardly. If I get mad every time you broke something, there will be no end to the fighting.
代用品はあるからまた一から始めればいいわ。
I have more materials, so you can just start over.
それより怒ってるのはあなたの方じゃないの？
However, aren't you really the one who's angry? Alice was very much on point today. It was true that, despite outward appearances, Alco was seething with frustration. That aside,
この転入生っていうのがひどくずれててね。
true enough, the transfer student I mentioned earlier was a real piece of work.
すごい山奥で暮らしてたらしくて、こっちの常識が通じないんだから。三問以下って言葉があるけど、あれって本当のことなのね、アリス。
This was the first novel that Nasu wrote but could not publish it. But it was where he got a lot of ideas from for all his other works, such as the similarities between Rin and Alco. Ah, that makes sense. So he eventually came back and finished this, or that's not nice. He's been living deep in the mountains and has literally zero common sense. I know people say that the mountains are like an entirely different world. I had no idea how true it was, Alice. Alice raised her head in response to hearing her name. But Alco kept going on before she could get a word in edgewise. Alco, after all, expected no sympathy in the first place.
初対面から尺に触るやつだったけど、教室を案内した時なんか失神しそうになったわ。
We didn't get along from the start, but things really took a turn for the worse when I took him to a classroom. Yes, but a lot changed many years later. Makes sense.
そいつ、教室で教師と1対1で授業を受けるもんだと思ってたらしいの。それはそれでまだ流せる。許容範囲よ、あの程度の冗談は。
He apparently thought it was a place where you get one-on-one tutoring, and that's not all. I mean, you're never gonna believe this.
で、私が簡潔かつ丁寧に教室の何たるかを教えた後で、そいつなんて言ったと思う？
Oh no, what did you ask? I already have a semi-idea of the characters from the Fate Grand Order collab event. So I know who they're talking about, so it's like, oh no, what did you say? What do you think he asked when I politely explained what a classroom is to him?
それで青崎、他の教室は何に使うんだ？
But then, what are the other classrooms for?
ですって。
Unbelievable, right?
教室に他も何もないでしょ？
I mean, a classroom is a classroom.
なんていうか、そいつは少しでも説明を怠るとそのままで納得しちゃうのよ。
And no matter how vague and unhelpful anything I said was, he just kept nodding.
何も疑問に思わないというか、想像力が欠如してるっていうか、想像することに慣れてないっていうか。
Oh no. It's like he was just taking everything at face value. I don't know if he's just lacks an imagination or never uses it.
まあ、一度言ったことはちゃんと分かってるっぽいから、バカってわけじゃないんだけど。
Anyway, he at least seemed to grasp most of what I told him the first time around, so I suppose he's not a complete idiot.
あなたが人を批評するのは珍しいわね。そういうダメな人、気にするたちだったの？
It's rare to see you so judgmental. Is it really worth getting worked up over someone like that?
みじんたりとも気にしないわよ。けど明日からどんな間違いをしでかすのかちょっと心配なだけ。
I couldn't care less about him. I'm just worried he'll screw up somehow. What she was really worried about was having to clean up that mess if and when it happened. That had to be it. If not, it would mean she had no real idea why she could not get him out of his... What? If not, it would mean she had no idea why she could not get him out of his head. His head? Is that a mistranslation? I had no idea why she could not get him out of his head.
とにかく変なやつなの。案外アリスと気が合うかも。
Well, he was a real weirdo, alright? You two would probably hit it off great.
三問一回はいい言葉ね。
Probably, yeah. Another world in the mountains doesn't sound so bad. But from her eyes, it was clear that the question of whether they would get along was irrelevant, given that they would never meet in the first place. Alco gave a non-committal response.
ところでアリス、さっきから何読んでるの？
Anyway, what have you been reading?
霊的進化論の二次創作。
This was before Type
Spiritual
Moon
diary
redid a
no
lot of
wagaimono.
English translation. Okay. That makes sense. A book about spiritual evolution based on the spiritual diary?
ああ、スウェーデンボリー。そんなの今更読んでも仕方ないんじゃない？
I may have read that with the wrong voice, but... Swedenborg, huh? Is that really worth reading again?
新書なら退屈だけど、これは偽書だから。
I wouldn't bother if it were the original, but this is a knockoff.
彼の欠点と長所を劇的に褒め上げている。よくできた冒険小説のようよ。立ちはだかる秘密組織の名前がカントとか気が利いているわ。
The pros and cons of Swedenborg's style and reads like a well-written adventure, having the secret organization Kant standing in his way was a nice addition.
筆跡はあなたのおじいさんのものだけど。
The handwriting of the notes in the margin belongs to your grandfather, by the way.
へえ、あの人そういう趣味まであったんだ。割とユーモアがあったのね。惜しい人を亡くしたわ。
Huh? I had no idea he was into that sort of thing. He had a great sense of humor. I really miss him. Alco seemed nostalgic over her now deceased grandfather.
あなたのおじいさん、夏に頼りをくれたけど。
He just contacted you last summer, didn't he?
よしてよ、死んだものと考えたいのに。
Did we really have to go there? Why can't the dead stay dead? Alco sighed and lay back on the sofa. Soft cushions caved in under her weight.
話は戻るけど。
As I was saying, Alice shot a glance at Alco. Her body buried in the sofa remained as still as a corpse. It was clear Alco had tuned out of the conversation. Alice silently chastised her with a look. The more she thought about it, the less important the events of the day seemed to become. If she just ignored Alice, the conversation would end there. She would eventually get up and leave today's mistake unresolved for another day. However, that's not the kind of person Aoko Aozaki was.
いいわよ。何？
Yeah, what is it? She asked, still lying down.
今日できなかったのは少し痛いわね。
It's upsetting that you failed today.
だから反省してるって。学校優先は一人前になってからでしょ。
Like I said, I'm thinking about it. I need to focus on becoming a full-fledged mage before thinking about school. I know that.
ならいいけど。
I hope you do. The coldness in her voice made Aoko gnash at her teeth. She knew what Alice wanted to say. She knew better than anyone. The veneer she wore she wore for school was different than the way she lived at home. While it could be called hiding in plain sight, Alice thought it was silly. And what the silence told her was,
覚悟を決めろって言いたいのよね、あんた
make
は
up your mind already. I know. Today's failure was not a colossal one. She just happened to upset the delicate balance between her home and the school lives, chasing one at the expense of the other. And yet, that careless mistake was a sign of Alco's lack of commitment.
アリスは関係ない。これは私が私で決めなくちゃいけないこと。
This doesn't concern Alice. It's my decision to make. She had only known, for sure, for the last year and a half. But she had a hunch for as long as she could remember. Make the choice, and the day will come. It was little wonder that her morals and conscience had been stripped away. Alco pushed herself back up. She was met by Alice's cold beauty and wordless gaze.
オッケー、アリス。来週中に決着をつけよう。
Okay, Alice, we can do it next week.
それでいいんでしょ？
That work for you?
ええ、青子がいいなら。
As long as it works for you. Alco could not help but shake her head, feeling like she was hearing something similar for the second time that day. Even in the comfort of her own, she couldn't banish the thoughts of that country boy from her mind.
じゃあ下準備はよろしくね。私まだできないし。
I'll let you set it up then. That's still beyond my abilities.
場所は例の公園でいい？
Should we do it at the park?
妥当な線ね。あ、でももう一軒の方は？
Sure. The line there is suitable enough. But what about that other thing?
そっちの方が急務じゃない？
Isn't that a more urgent concern?
時と場合、森に変化があれば教えるわ。
It depends on the conditions. I'll let you know if there are any changes to the woods. After that brief exchange, Alice returned her attention to the book on her lap. Shop talk was over. Now they could return to their normal relationship as roommates. Alco grabbed the remote and turned on the TV. Since Alice was busy reading, Alco decided to tune into a variety show that had already started. Alice started to speak, but suddenly cut herself off. One of her delicate hands raised to her mouth. She would always cut herself off the second she realized she was about to say something trivial. Sometimes her self-restraint would hit too late, and she would make a gesture like the one she was making now. It occurred to Alco that sound her cute little roommate made just now was different than the wah she blurted in past times. But scratch what I said earlier, this is still in the beginnings of the novel, just not quite the very start. Okay.
何？
What is it? Alco turned down the volume of the TV. Her intense eyes lit up like those of a mischievous cat.
どうということはないんだけど。
It's nothing, really, but...
ないんだけど？
But what? Alice looked away bashfully, not knowing if she could bring it up or not. It was times like these that her expression carried a real warmth and surprising charm. If he could see her in this moment, Alice's father would have to admit that her name suited her perfectly.
今日帰ってくるときおかしなものを見て誰かに話そうと思っていたんだけど。
It's just I saw something strange on my way home and wanted to tell someone about it. Alco nodded, beckoning her to continue.
つまらない。本当に意味のないことよ。
It's silly, really.
けど、どう考えてもそんなことをする理由がわからない。
I just can't make sense of it, no matter how much I think about it.
青子。人間ぐらいの大きな猫がひょこひょこ出前をする理由ってわかる？
Alco, Do you have any idea why a man-sized cat would be riding around town, delivering meals to people? For a second, Algo thought Alice was trying and failing miserably to make a joke again. One would think that about anyone, really. But she seemed completely serious. Even if Alco's sense of humor fell flat for Alco, the story already sounded more fanciful than Alice's usual attempts at jokes. Alco concluded that her roommate was talking about something she had actually seen.
その話には2つぐらい信じがたい部分があるけど、一つずつ論破していい？
There are quite a few things off about that. Maybe we should break it down.
いいの？私もからくりぐらいは思いつくから。
It's not. Even I can think of a few mundane explanations.
ただ、理由がわからないから聞いてるの。わざわざ精巧な猫のぬいぐるみを着て、出前のてんやものを届けに行くことって。
I'm just asking because I can't figure out why somebody would do that. Maybe it's as simple as someone just dressing up a finely crafted catsuit to deliver food for a restaurant.
難易度以前にそれをやる人間の常識性を疑うけどね、私は。
I'm more worried about the person doing it than their reasons personally. Alice nodded tentatively at her words.
まあ、世の中いろいろあるから。私たちみたいなのもいれば、下界から遮断された山奥で暮らしていたやつまで10人といるよ。
Whatever does it for them. I guess in a world with people like us and weirdos like that live like mountain hermits, there's no telling what kind of freaks are out there.
私だったら見かけたら声かけて理由を尋ねただろうけど。
I personally would have gone up to them and asked them what they were doing. Alice's gaze drifted at that.
暮れゆく住宅街にさまよう出前猫か。背景が夕焼けだったらファンタジーだったでしょうに。
A delivery cat riding through neighborhoods in the evening. Sounds like something straight out of a fantasy story.
で、今日の夕飯どうする？せっかく話が出たし、私らもてんやものにしようか。
Hey, what should we do for dinner tonight? Speaking of delivery, maybe we should order in. Guess who was in the cat suit? I'm trying to remember the characters' names from the event. It's either the mountain hermit boy, or it's the mischievous friend that. What was his name? It was quite a big part of the FGO event. I'm guessing it's the mountain hermit though. This is all leading up to his reveal. Alco loved getting takeout, and her face glowed as she spoke. They had no rules for dinner, but if one of them was in the mood to cook, they made it a point to make enough for two. At the very worst, this meant entire weeks without dinner, but the two of them agreed that this was the system that worked best for them. I just thought... hold on. The game... Let me see if I can fix the filter. Because it's not really that bright on stream. I think that's better. Yeah, before it was just a black blob. Now you can see a bit of the house. Nights like this one were a common occurrence, much to the chagrin of restaurants of Misaki Town. During the delivering to the mansion meant coming all the way up to the top of this hill, the source of their disgruntlement. It was indeed Sojuro, the mountain boy. Yep.
時間は8時前。ギリギリセーフね。私今月がいいな。あそこの月見そば最近ご無沙汰だったし。
I remember during the event, Sojuro, it was said that he took on multiple jobs, so him being in a cat suit delivering, that makes a lot of sense. That lines up. It's still before 8, so we're good. I'm really in the mood for kongetsu tonight. I haven't had a tsukimi soba in ages. We're something like 50 jobs. Oh gosh. Sojiro. Oh no. He's holding up the entire local economy. No one else can get a job because him alone is taking up the jobs of everyone in town. Jeesh. The Hungry Student Council president took out their many menus and excitingly looked for anything that stood out. Alice casually responded without sparing so much as a glance.
悪いけど、私夕飯済んでるの。
Sorry, but I've already had dinner. With those words, Aoko froze. Although all deliveries required a minimum of 2 items, so she was out of luck without an accomplice. Cruel society had decided it couldn't be bothered to deliver to a princess who only ordered a single serving of food. Wow, times have changed. Wow! This is definitely before the times of Uber Eats. Oh, I did. Wow. It's like Larry from the Amazing World of Gumball. Oh, so true. Incidentally, to counteract orders from the Hilltop Mansion. Oh, jeesh! The restaurants had declared the minimum number of orders will be 3 starting next year. Wow! They know. Dang. We know there's only 2 of them up there, so if we make the minimum of 3, they can never order to us. Wow. Dang, but I mean, yeah, it's all the way up there. Right behind. Wait a second. Oh, that placement is really good. Not only does it point to the actual mansion, it points to the word mansion to show that it's right there. This does not work. Yep, because some mountain boy ruins the plan. Alco and Alice were still in the dark to this fiendish change in direction.
この裏切り者
Traitor!
だから帰ってくるのが遅かったのね
Is that why you were late getting back?
帰宅部学校までバス徒歩込みで片道20分のあんたがなんで5時以降に帰ってくんのか考えるべきだったわ
Between the bus ride and the walk, the trip home takes only 20 minutes. I should have known something was up when you didn't get home before 5 o'clock. Unfortunately for Aoko, she had been too out of it to even remember that she was the one who fell asleep.
ああひどい女そういう時は残された一人のためにお土産買ってくるのが暗黙の了解だったのに
Talk about Ice Queen. I thought it was clear that if either of us got food, we would bring enough home for the other person. The facial expression is on point.
私だってこの前の外食の時はアリスの分も買ってきたじゃない
Didn't I bring back something for you when I ate out last time? It was unknown how serious Aoko was being, but she was visibly angry. She had already woken up hungry that morning, and from the time she was called into school until now, she had consumed nothing but tea. Oh, dang. It was a small miracle that her stomach was not growling. She knew it was her own fault, but she persisted, wanting to get revenge on Alice for scolding her earlier.
この前ってあれのこと
By last time, you mean?
あなたが都心に出向いた時夕食にお寿司を食べてきたのにお土産はなぜかコンビニエンスストアのビニール袋だったって話
Oof. The time you went into the city and ate sushi but only came back with a plastic bag full of convenience store food? That time? Alcoa kicked a hornet's nest.
何よ買ってこないよりはマシでしょ
So what? It was better than nothing. wasn't it?
真実は時に隠蔽すべきね。
There are times when you'd be better off saying nothing at all. Alice's icy gaze. Alice's icy gaze pierced right through her. Alco had... Sorry. Oh, that's a great illustration. Alco had certainly crossed the line by going on and on about how the sushi circled around the restaurant while Alice ate her convenience store meal. No! Alco, why? No! But new things fascinated her, and she couldn't contain her curiosity towards the conveyor belt sushi shops that started popping up at the same time. They were nothing sort of miraculous. Oh, no. Even honesty could be a sin, given the right circumstances.
わかった。わかりました。じゃあ今回のは前のと帳消しってことでいいわね。
Fine, fine. I get it. Does this at least mean we're even now? Alice went back to her book without so much as recognizing the question. Oof. The fact that she did not confirm it made Alco anxious.
仕方ない。今日は薬日だし、おとなしく台所に立って料理の腕を磨くとしましょう。
Well, today has been a total disaster. I guess I'll just whip something up in the kitchen. She stood up, announcing her intent to no one in particular.
聞き忘れてた。アリス、どこで夕食済ませたの？
Oh, I almost forgot to ask. Where did you end up eating anyway? Alice's hand froze on her current page. She suddenly shut the book she was reading and stood up as if at wit's end. She walked across the drawing room with her book in hand. When she reached the door, she stopped and turned towards Alco.
聞きたい。
You really want to know?
まあ、なんとなく。
Sure. Alco nodded timidly, cowed by Alice's sudden vigor. Alice continued in her matter-of-fact way.
その猫が余ったメニューをくれたのよ。
The cat gave me one of his leftover deliveries. And with that brief response, she left the room. Sojiro. $7EX. Wait, what? Oh, Sojiro. There he is. Wow, that's a major leap. We just jumped 6 chapters. Wow. Walking around the mansion at night often led to mysterious encounters. Oh, there he is. Oh, with your neck injury. Mist might suddenly fill the hallway. Or doors might appear and disappear. Just when Sojiro thought he had seen it all, with pig-shaped shadows mending the carpet, he heard the sound of birds flapping coming from the sunroom. What's going on over there? As much as he had become accustomed to turning a blind eye to such occurrences, the sound of flapping wings in the sunroom was suddenly too much to ignore. Is it Robin? Not just one bird, or even 2. It sounds like a dozen. Never mind. It might be worse. So many birds packed in the sunroom would inevitably lead to shattered windows and broken glass. Sojiro grabbed a broom and dashed towards the sound, prepared for the worst. Perhaps he was moved by his natural impulse to help or desperate self-defense. His mind flashed to what a teacher had said at school.
皆さんも部屋の整頓は心がけてくださいね。人間の自制心って環境に流されるらしいですから。
You should all make sure to keep your rooms orderly and clean. Work ethic and self-discipline will have a positive impact on your surroundings.
ほら、それまで犯罪の少ない町だったのに、 一つボロボロの家ができ
I
ただ
think
けで
this is an
近
extra
隣
story.
住人がみんな自堕落になるというあれ。
Okay. Think about it. Even in a nice neighborhood where there isn't much crime, it only takes one ill-kept house to send the whole block into a spiral of depravity.
環境への無関心さがすさんだ精神を作り上げるとか眉唾ですけど、正直なところブームだからって盗んだバイクで走り回ったり学校の廊下の窓ガラスとか割って回っちゃダメですよ。先生の仕事が増えますから。
Of course, we all know a messy room won't turn you into a criminal, but I better not catch any of you breaking windows in the hallway or going for a joyride on a stolen motorcycles. Think about all the pain you'd be causing your poor teacher. At the time, school gangs had garnered a certain reputation among the youth. Broken windows lead to broken hearts. Oh gosh, what did I even press? I was just trying to change my seating position so the blood wouldn't stop flowing to my veins, and I hit a button. What button? Nope. Nope. Wait, no. Sojiro appreciated the base. Wait! Ah! Okay, I'm fine. I'm pressing buttons now and stuff is happening. I don't know what's going on anymore. Sojiro appreciated the basic message of the lecture as he ruminated over it. The thought of broken windows had given him a sense of urgency, as if the mansion's very moral foundations were at stake. His roommates were harsh enough with him already. Anything further would only lead to rampant rumors at school about their cruelty. He had to protect the honor of the student council president. It was also a concern for his own safety that sent him rushing to the sunroom. However... Huh? There wasn't a bird to be seen or a chirp to be heard upon his arrival. Oh, hey! Only Alice and Aoko, sipping afternoon tea at a table that overlooked the courtyard, were present, in coins. The dozens of birds Sojiro had sensed with his mountain intuition were nowhere to be seen. What a what a crazy thing to walk into a room and say. Did anyone see a flock of birds? Sorry. Oh, that's a crazy sentence. Just sipping your afternoon tea, someone busts through the door. Did anyone see a flock of birds? What? Like out the window? Maybe a few hours ago.
Alice, 見た?
Alice?
さあ、もう見えないのならいないということでしょう。
Who knows? If can't see them, there must... If can't see them... Oh. If you can't see them, then there must not be any birds.
だって、いないよ、鳥。
You heard her. No birds. It was a lie so blatant even Sojiro could see through it. So was Alice. That can't be true. He knew for a fact he had heard the flapping of a flock of birds. Unable to accept that there really were no wild animals in the room, Sojiro approached the window with suspicion. There were no feathers or any other signs of birds having been outside either. This is a story which is a 30-minute conversation about birds! Okay, I see why this was left in. We're gonna be burdened today.
夕食、鳥鍋?
Oh, they're messing with him. Oh, right. Dinner. Chicken stew, was it? Of course, Aoko would say something like that as if she watched Sojiro search desperately. Sorry, I'm working at a fish place tonight, but I've got you covered if you want sardines.
イワシ。イワシか？私、あのパイ嫌いなのよね。
Sardines? Sardines, huh? I don't like sardine pie.
いえ、むしろイワシのパイとか食べたことないのよね。
Not that I've ever had it. Ako's stand-up routine was far ahead of its time. Sojiro backed away from the window and begrudgingly left the sunroom. Feeling Alice's all too familiar inscrutable gaze upon his back. What's up, Alice? Just as he opened his mouth to ask her what she wanted. Oh, Robin, no! Ow! A blue comet crashed into his head. It needed no explanation. It could only be Robin, the mysterious bird that appeared frequently in the mansion. Chirp chirp! It shrilled accusingly. The truth was, the tiny aggressor that assaulted him just now was the greatest of the mansion's 7 wonders. Oh no. I don't think I was ready to voice Robin. Okay, good. We're skipping it. Woo! Just got hit by a bird. That's the second time I've seen that happen. The first one was to Fabio. Poor guy. Wow. I'm really liking the visual aspect of this. Usually of visual novels I've seen, or he speaks a lot in the story. I've heard when people saw him in the event, they were like, "No, not him!" Like, what's up with the bird? Then you see him in the event, it's like, okay, never mind, I understand. I'm surprised he lived this long, though. He hasn't done his death to reanimation yet. Sojiro encountered all sorts of people along his route to work. Still new to the city life, he found the crowds of people outside the station utterly fascinating. In fact, they were the highlight of his commute. It's the little things in life. No two people wore exactly the same clothes or walked in the same fashion. With so many people, you would think they would all melt into an indistinguishable huddle, but each person he saw was different and unique. Every 5 minutes he explodes in a new way. Robin! Sojiro was excited as a child. Was as excited as a child as he looked out at the bustling, diverse streets of the city.
Yeah.
Stop it. Closing his eyes in shame, he sighed. He was upset with himself for behaving like a bumbling tourist from the countryside. Oh.
ちょっと、青信号で突っ立ってられるの邪魔なんだけど。
Oh, it's this
何
person.
柄にもなく黄昏てるんだか。
She didn't appear in the event. I think she was referenced? It seemed like it. There was a lot of things left vague for a possible, like, sequel to Mahoyo, well, Witch on the Holy Night sequel, because the event acted like a sequel. Like, there's enough gap where they can make something else and put it right there, and then it would lead to the FGO event. Alright. Hey, you're getting people's way spacing out in front of the crosswalk like that. Daydream somewhere else. She's quite a minor character. A stern and familiar voice behind him snapped him out of his navel gazing. His what?
なんだ、マッドベアに行く途中だったんだ。
Let me guess. On your way to the Mad Bear?
私はコンビニのバイト。こっちは5時からだけど。しずきは？
My shift at the convenience store that starts at 5. You?
同じく5時から。くまりはどこか寄るところでも？
Same. 5 o'clock start. Were you on your way somewhere else?
本屋に寄った帰り、読みたかった本がなくなってたから、仕方なく出歩いてたところよ。
I just stopped by a bookstore. I'm out of stuff to read, so I thought I'd look for something new.
なるほど。 時間を持て余しているところも
They
同
have
じだね
said it will have a sequel before the novel actually released in 2012. Well, let's hope with the movies coming out, Nasu will now have a deadline and will actually make the sequel. I see. I guess we'll both have some time to spare. The girl who greeted him was Kojiki Kumari, a work friend who was also in the same year at Misaki High. Though it would have been more accurate to say she was looking for a pretext to fight him rather than greet him. To Sojiro, Kumari had been the first person in the city he could look up to. They met at his first job, where she insisted he wasn't cut out to work the register after many mistakes and convinced him to quit working at convenience stores altogether. Dang. Never ever hope on Type Moon timing. No! Nasu, why? In the end, she introduced him to his current job at the Chinese restaurant, the Mad Bear. A much better fit for Sojiro. Oh, that was a good transition. You look a little worse for wear, Suzuki. Why the long face? I never seen you so pouty. Usually, standing up straight is the one thing you're good at. Something on your mind? Wait, are you getting bullied by the older guys at the Mad Bear? You can tell me anything, you know? Though her tone was stern, her eyes were earnest. Having grown up in the city herself, she was irritated by virtually everything Sojiro said and did. Dang. Nevertheless, she treated him like an equal. Introducing him to his current job was just one example of her sincerity.
いや、別に悩みとかそういうんじゃなくて、不思議なことがあったというか、珍しいものを見たというか。
No, nothing like that. It's just something strange happened. Something really unusual. There was witches and vampires. It was crazy. Sojiro could not find the words to explain his situation, but that did not stop him from trying. There were no problems at all. No problems at the Mad Bear to speak of. He liked it just as much as his other job as Uotatsu, the fishmongers in the shopping district. In fact, his problem had nothing to do with work at all. No. His problem was a certain bluebird that would not stop pecking at him recently. I did hear about that. I did see like an image of Sojiro and Robin fighting over some crumb that apparently might have been poisoned. The rivalry, it begins. You're getting pecked by a bird? Wow, and here I was thinking the world had ended. It was pretty unusual for a bird to be blue, I guess. I just realized a blue bird. I need the blue bird feathers in Skyward Sword. Has it been 5 minutes yet? Robin hates Sojiro. Dang. Generational hate. And that's not the only thing unusual about it. He stopped unsure how to proceed. Oh no. Words alone were not enough to convey that the bird's plump body or the sound of its chirping. Oh, the image gets more hilarious looking at her waiting for his next words, his pained expression, just an image of a bird.
綺麗な青色と言ったらマウンテンブルーバードだけど、日本にはいないわよね。
There is a beautifully colored bird called the mountain bluebird, but they're not native to Japan.
青いツバメだったらいるかもしれないけど。
Maybe it's a blue swallow. It's definitely shallow, but
いや、ツバメじゃなくて丸っぽいんだ。図鑑で調べたんだけど、どうもコマドリっぽいけど。
no, it's more round than a swallow. I tried to look it up in a bird book, and the closest thing I found was a robin.
青色のコマドリは存在しない。
Yeah, but robins aren't blue.
しずきは縁日の青ひよこって知ってる？知らないわよね。いい、そう面白い話じゃないから忘れて。
You know those blue chicks they have affairs in the city? Of course you don't. Why would you? Just forget it.
それより、そのコマドリって1話だけなの？
Anyway, this robin, is it the only one?
ああ、1羽だけだ。つがいは見当たらない。
Yeah, there's only one. It doesn't seem to have a mate.
突然変異だとしたらちょっとかわいそうね。
Well, if it's the only one of its kind, then I feel kind of sorry for it. When I first read this, I was half expecting for Sojiro to tell her that the bird also talks. We haven't gotten that reveal in the EX yet, but yes, it does talk. And it talks a lot of smack, too. If he told her that it would talk. The response would have been amazing.
生まれた時から最後の1話だなんて。
Imagine being the last one of your kind since the day you were born. Talk about lonely.
どんな鳥かは知らないけど、次に見かけたら優しくしてあげたら、自販機で10円を拾う
One mean bird. Yep.
運んでくれるかもよ。
I have no idea what species it could be. Maybe you should try being nice to it next time. It might bring you something special. Like when you find a 10-yen coin in a vending machine. Her words were perfectly kind, but he could hardly sympathize with the creature after all the painful pecking to which it had subjected him. He wouldn't have called the bird lonely either.
いいじゃない、小鳥1羽ぐらい。
If one little bird is all that's bothering you, you're lucky.
そりゃ都会で鳥につつかれるのは珍しいけど、いい方の珍事よそれ。これがゴミ袋を漁るカラスの大群だったら困りものでしょうけど。
The pecking part is weird for sure, especially in a city like this. But it could be way worse. Imagine getting attacked by an army of crows that swarm around the dumpsters. Ugh.
そういえば、他にも気になることが。
Right, actually, there was something else bothering me too. Her example had reminded him of the mystery of the disappearing birds at the mansion. Have you seen any dumpsters with an unusual amount of birds next to it? A stranger than strange events.
実は今、あそこに見える丘に住んでるんだけど。
See that hill? I actually live on it.
出るんだ。大量のムク
Oh, wait, that's a great framing! Dang, I just noticed! Wow! It's in the center of all the trees and there's one branch pointing to it. Actually, is it pointing to the room he lives in? Because he was in the attic, like, room. Wow! Wow, that's some great framing if that's true. That's pretty sick, yes? Wow! That's awesome! I see lots of starlings around there, but for some reason, they never come down to town.
当たり前でしょう。街じゃ鳥なんて見かけないし、あそこは山だから動物は多いんじゃない？
Oh, duh! You never see birds in town? But on a mountain like that, there are bound to be wild animals. Look, there's a lot of pigeons in New York, alright? It's not that weird to have birds in a city.
それよりあなた、あの山に引っ越したの？前のアパートは引き払ったって聞いてたけど、学校まで通うの大変じゃない？
Why would you move out there anyway? I mean, I heard you moved out of your old apartment, but isn't it a pain getting to school? What are you doing out there in the boonies?
ちょっとした成り行きだよ。それに通うのは大変じゃない。大変なのは
You can tell that Type Moon really stepped up their work since their early days. Things just worked out that way, and the commute isn't hard. If anything, it's painful. It's what happens inside that place. Dang. Huh? It took 30 minutes to reach town on foot. The 40 minutes to the nearest convenience store would be a real kicker for most people, but for Sojiro, it was no inconvenience. The real problem was the dark forces beyond human understanding that lurked within the grounds. Yeah, that makes sense. The Tsukihime remake is similar, if not better quality. Yeah, I saw that some of the Tsukihime like illustrations, and I saw like the updated art, and it's like, wow, it's pretty good. How, I wonder, is there a trial version of Tsukihime? Because if so, it would be nice to compare how they're both made, quality-wise and art-wise. I'll put that on the back burner of ideas. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring all my complaints to you.
それより今の話だ。町には鳥が少ないと言ったけど、どうして？
I'm curious about how you said there aren't many birds in town, though. Why is that?
単に環境に適応できなかったのよ。
Simple. They failed to adapt to the environment.
何？鳥の話には随分と食いつくわね。しずき、動物好き？
I didn't know you were so interested in birds. Are you an animal lover or something?
どちらかというと好きな方だけど。
I guess I do like animals more than I dislike them.
そう、私は嫌い。そんな私に鳥の話とかしてほしい。
Really? Can't stand them. I'm surprised you didn't pick up on it sooner. The statement could hardly be more than self-contradictory. Minutes after telling him to be nice to a bird that attacked him, she was now claiming she did not even like animals.
そうだな。嫌いなだけで苦手でないのなら、知ってる範囲で聞かせてほしい。
Well, even if you can't stand animals, I'd still like to hear what you know about birds.
痛いとこつくじゃない。
Sorry. Oh, that's a statement. Even if you can't stand animals, I like to hear what you know about birds. There was ever a birder, like, a word to attach to a birder? It's that. My gosh. Can't you take a hint, huh?
いいわ。バイ
In
ト
the
までの
original
時
one,
間
only
潰し
one
にして
man
あげ
did the
る。
artwork. Yeah, and that's oh no, I can't. Oh, the name's fading. No, the COVID brain fog. No. It's on the tip of my tongue. His name. I'll remember as we go on. Fine. I need to kill some time until work starts anyway.
さっきの続き。環境に適応できるかできないかってところからね。
So, like I was saying, survival is all about being able to adapt to your environment. Wait, what is that? 7-0? That wasn't even a number. Wow, that's beautiful art. Wow. Back home. Back to being pecked by a bird. They cut the second half of the story. The bird story. That was only half! I don't know, this is pretty peak so far. I'm gonna have to put on my Switch watch list. Because I missed the sale. It's a long analogy about the death of a species. That makes sense. The morning sun alerted Sojiro that a day of work lay ahead. Specifically, the gardens needed tending to. And an unkept garden made for an unhappy Sojiro. Dang, he's working multiple jobs and taking care of the house? Wow! This man does not rest. Luckily, today was his day off from all his part-time jobs. He has a break and he's going straight to work? And he cooks? Wow. And pays rent. Dang. Nasu does love his house husbands. Shiro, Emiya, Sojiro. And is Shiki like that too? Nasu has a type. Luckily, today was his day off from all his part-time jobs. With no free will. No! Sojiro! It was the perfect opportunity to get his hands dirty. There was one problem, however. The mansion's grounds were vast. Not only had the courtyard been left to run wild, but the area around the front door had been neglected too. To tend to these problems thoroughly, he would have to work on them week in, week out. Alright, first, let's level things out. Shiki can be sort of like that, but he is usually a lot more of a nutcase. Ah, okay. In an ideal world, his task would only take a day, but for its enormity. For the moment, Sojiro decided to set foot into the mansion's wilderness and evict the weeds. Wasting none of the early daylight, he started tackling the ones around the mansion. By his estimation, he could clear the forecourt, courtyard, and backyard, then take a small rest. Wow, that's a lot of work! Oh, Alice. What's gotten into him?
さあ、草摘みが趣味ってわけじゃなさそうだけど。
Beat me. I doubt he's out there for fun. It was just before noon in the sunroom. Alice had come down, book in hand, to find Aoko sitting down with a fashion magazine and elegantly sipping tea. Though the window, she could see the crouched figure of Sojiro shuffling by. This is a main story segment. Oh.
朝からやってるみたいよ。
He's been at it all morning.
起きてカーテンを開けたら、
Hunched over since I saw him first thing from my bedroom
ついで
window.
に焼却炉の掃除も言いつけといたけど、いいでしょ?
I told him to clean the incinerator too. Any objections?
いいけど、頑張るのね、彼。外はあんなにも寒いのに。
Not really. He always works so hard, even in the cold. Alice quietly sat down. Her teacup had been placed on the table for her. She poured herself some tea and proceeded to open her book. The two sat, passing the time in silence. Having happened to have the same idea, a nice relaxing cup of tea in the sunroom. With their evening roles decided, there was no need for idle chatter. Aoko stared out the window interminably, turning her gaze to her magazine. Alice was immersed in a book on rune magecraft, occasionally tilting her head up as if to recall something. As if by unspoken agreement, in unison, they passed their teacups to their lips and glanced outside. To the two girls, Sojiro appeared as if he were a mere animal in a zoo. Neither was interested in lending a hand. Despite his sluggish movement, he was making good progress. As Alco's attention turned back to the sunroom, her eyes met Alice's. Alice returned her gaze to her book, though moments later, she raised her head again. Wow! Jeesh! Oh, he's so happy. That's why he's able to have 50 jobs. Clearing her throat, she attempted to focus on reading. It was no surprise that Alice admired Sojiro's diligence. Not even 30 minutes had passed before he had cleared the courtyard of its unsightly weeds. Without stopping once, the mysterious gardener left the courtyard, puffing clouds of white breath. The area he left behind was spotless. Has he done this before? Alice muttered after scanning over his work. A stalwart Sojiro worked confidently and ceaselessly. She was impressed, like she was watching a scene from a great movie, but before long she grew irked. Why would he waste his energy like that, she thought. Alice looked at the clock. If he starts now, it'll be evening before he's done with the incinerator. Actually, he took care of it. I watched him do it from upstairs. I didn't want him breaking it, so I gave him some pointers. You know, I yelled at him for so long from my window, my room almost froze over. It was safe to assume Alco had come to the sunroom to escape her cold room. Between barking orders from a window and cleaning in the cold, it was clear who had the harder job. Did Shizuki have anything to say? Yeah, a lot. I couldn't really hear him. In other words, his complaints fell on deaf ears. Dang. Does look better. I think that is a new illustration. However, you should be wary, young lady. For this is not a story of just warmth and cheer. From here we cross into the realm of night, bordering fact and fiction. And so, let us speak of the witch and her day. I don't know how many chapters are in this. 1.5 to 3. Because I may need to stop it because my laptop's almost dead. It's at 11%. Let me search it up real quick. How many chapters are included in Witch on the Holy Night trial version? Let's see. Oh gosh, things are getting crazy already. Oh, this is the final one. Then let me... It's a combat-focused side story. Yeah, so let me go over here. There we go. And let me unplug this. And so I can start charging so I can finish this. Now, this cord. Ta-da! Let me... Take a break from reading for a bit and start talking for a bit since to waste some time to give some time to the charger. So yeah, let me try and summarize things so far for myself and how I'm viewing it. So far, I'm really enjoying this. I haven't seen visual novels that much, but usually when I see little from visual novels, it's mostly like it's not as visually like the camera angles and the movement and the I haven't seen one like this. Usually it's just the characters in the text box in locations. I haven't seen one with like this much work put into it. So it's like whoa, to see it, like to see like the full work of how great it could be. It's like that's pretty awesome. I'm sort of intrigued. So yeah, I think I will get it, but well, two things. One, yes, I'll have to wait for a sale. And then two, I don't know if I'll stream it though. It's because of a lot of them are low budget studio. Tech Moon is one of, if not the only large visual novel creators. That makes sense. I don't know if I'll stream it because I believe you can't stream past, what was it, chapter 7, I believe, because if you do, there's a risk of running copyright. I saw even small channels were getting striked, and I don't want to risk that. So I don't know if I should try and read it up to chapter 7 or just do it in, like, on my own time. But yes, it's nice seeing Alco, Alice, and Sojiro in the original works and what it's like and what elements they took from this visual novel and brought along into FGO. The character interpretations, their abilities, how things are shot and framed from this, and how they try to replicate in Fate Grand Order. And it just brings up my enjoyment of that event even more, because it's like, wow! Like, there's a lot going into it. Chapter 7 is after halfway major plot build-up. And climax. That makes sense. Then that would be getting to major spoiler stuff, so that's probably why they're like, we don't want you streaming it. So, So, yeah. I'll probably decide on that in the off time. Maybe? I don't know. I'm also not used to reading this much, especially out loud. So it would be good to see up to 7, as it would also be the boots then covered in the movie. Yeah, that makes sense. Then maybe I will. The bits. Then yeah, maybe. I'll just keep it on the back burner, because I also don't want to start too many different series and then just have lots of unfinished stuff. So it's good that I'm waiting for a sale so I can finish off like Pokemon or Skyward Sword before I continue onward. But yeah, let me see. Is there a Tsukihime trial version? Nintendo.com. How do you even spell Tsukihime? Well, it will probably be a while to the next sale. Yeah, good point. So that does give me time to finish up my the other games I'm playing. It does not seem like there's a trial version for Tsukihime. Right? Let's see. No. Oh wait, this is the updated one. Oh. Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Huh. Yeah, that's just gonna be something I'm have to think on. Oh snap, that's right, I haven't made thumbnails or schedules yet. I need a plan for next week. Starting tomorrow. Starting today for tomorrow and the next few days. Oh no. Let's see. 17. Ugh. Only 7% this whole time. No. Well, I guess it's just time to talk about other things also. So, I guess I'll just do a little catch up with things. Speaking of Fate Grand Order though, I have managed to clear all the Lost Belt storylines. And I got to the Ordeal Call, and I got to like tons of new content they added, and it's like that I'm getting it piecemeal, but there's actually quite a lot being added. It's crazy. I haven't been to the main story events of Ordeal Call because there's gonna be a summer event coming up, so it's like, well, I gotta do that. Then when I have free time, I'll go back to the main story. I finished the Avalon LaFay storyline. Really good. Then I went to the next storyline, and I was like, wow, that's a dip in quality. I heard people say like, oh, you know, Lost Belt 7's not that good. It might be the worst. I was like, it can't be that bad. It was pretty bad. I was like, wow, that quality dropped. that was pretty crazy. The Dinosaur Lost Belt was not it. It was it was not good. But yeah, it was not good. I can only think of a few positives, but most of them are scattered about. One of the things in the story was you get to fight Fort, and I was like, I've heard of the fight. People are being like, it's really difficult, and I was like, well, let's see how it is. It's a raid event, but you can't reuse servants you have, so you have to use a whole different team every time. So then I beat him, and then it's like round 2, and he starts another raid. It's like I've already fought him 20 times. I guess I'll fight him another 20 times. And then he wants a run back again. And then that's even more. Another fight. And then it's like a run back again. It's like, just leave. Finally enough, the trial version of Tsukihime is a really expensive, super rare physical release of only 50 copies made in 1999, with an entirely different story and art compared to the release version. Wow, that's interesting. I guess it makes sense. They released that when they were a smaller company, right? Also, no, where's it? Hold on. Type Moon Artist Bitch on the Holy Night. The name is on artist. Oh, Hirokawa Koyama. Oh. Not what I expected. But yeah, it makes... Wow! It's got a 10 out of 10 on Steam! That's crazy! I mean, it is really good. But still... and play now. Only available option, Nintendo. But the rating is 10 out of 10 on Steam. Thank you, Google. Let's see. Who was the artist on Fate's Stay Night? Because Fate's Stay Night, Takeuchi. Okay, that's the name I was trying to think of. Because there's some similar-esque art notions, but it might be just because of directing. Like, well, can you make it more like this? Oh yeah, there was a physical edition of the game. Wow, that looks really good! Oh, and look at all those characters I haven't met before. Does FGO get better, as I recently started it and I have not found the story very gripping? Yes, it does. What happened was, in the early chapters, it wasn't taken that seriously, but that's when Nasu was like, alright, let's take this more seriously, and from the Camelot chapter onwards, it gets better. So, yes, it's just, you have to get through 6 singularities, which are sort of, but then the story does get better from there on. Ironically enough, the Camelot got an anime version, which wasn't that good because it's a movie and it tried to condense and cut a lot of stuff. So the main actual bits is better. And then Babylonia is also good and has an anime which is also good. So it's like it goes up from Camelot onwards. In like the 1 point storyline, there's one bad storyline, but the other 3 are solid going forward. And I would say only the Lost Belt storyline has some faults towards the end when they're like, alright, let's put some 0.5 stories in between, like the 6th and 7th and the 5th and 6th Lost Belt. So it's like, those were skippable though, so I don't know how the quality was, but they're also skippable. That means anything that happens in there gets referenced later on, but then it's like, well, I didn't read it, which is also a downfall of the 7th. The Babylonia anime is the only anime of FGO I actually enjoyed and finished. Yeah, it's really good. There was some slight changes from the original FGO counterpart, but yeah, it's good. So if you liked Babylonia, you'll like Camelot, the 6th singularity. But yeah, you have to get through the others, which you can probably... There's some highlights in some earlier versions, but it'd probably be easier and faster to either fast forward or skip, depending on what you like. I really didn't like London. That's what I will say flat out. That's my least favorite in probably all the stories in FGO. In general, I have a bone to pick with London. That is not a good singularity. But maybe I'll go more in depth about that, because I've been considering doing like a retrospective look back on chapters of FGO, but I need to catch up to the main storyline, so then I can eventually go back and look through it. Also, how can you fight Orts? Because from its description in the Tsukihime novels, makes it sound like even the Counterforce can't do anything about it. Well, because in the storyline, it's not like a fully powered Orts, it's from an alternate timeline. So, you're basically whittling away at it. And then, one of the characters was trained by the embodiment of death, because they're a guardian of hell, so they can apply death to Ort to defeat him, but it still takes multiple fights, and then he still keeps coming back! That's why it's so annoying! It's like you defeat him and keeps coming back. But yeah, it's not the proper like Ort from main story. It's like an alternate version. It's, I believe they call it like not a fully fledged one, like more of a larva version. I think that's said in the story. Gosh, was it a pain. So yeah, I was thinking, at first I was like, maybe I can write, like do little type-ups or write-ups on some website like Pixiv or Reddit about my retrospective, but I can also just try and make videos. I have lots of video ideas. I just need to put pen to paper or cursor to editing software to start the project to then release it. I have a few ideas. I just need to plan out a schedule and do it. I would be happy to hear and watch it. Thank you. Yeah, so first of all, first thing I need to do for one project I'm planning, I already have most of the things set up. I just need to record the audio and then get it all together, edit, put visuals, and then it should be okay. But it's the first time I'm editing for quite a while, so it might not look too visually impactful. And this other idea about the retrospective of FGO chapters, I haven't started reading up on Ordeal Call, so that's gonna be a bit because when does chapter 3 of Ordeal Call come out? I believe it's August. Yeah, sometime around August, so it would take some time to try and catch up from Ordeal 1 to 2. I don't know. Granted, the earlier chapters are much shorter than later chapters, so maybe I'll just, in my spare time, might reread like the opening chapter of FGO, do my retrospective, and then put that in the back burner for editing. It's just the bottleneck of the editing that's making things more difficult. And gosh dang it. Is Toko in the FGO collab? Toko. Sorry, I'm gonna need a reminder of who Toko is. Sorry. Let me search it. Toko. Oh no, she's mentioned, but she's not there in person. Which leads to some... And don't search her up. I know her, I just can't remember the name. Especially because for the thumbnail, I got all the material, so I saw characters. But yeah, she wasn't in the event. She was mentioned in the event. Because there was a character that was trying to, a seal designator that was trying to hunt her down. It's a twist. Oh, I don't know the story elements for her. I just know. Okay, so I won't look up anymore. I'm at 30%, so I should be fine. Let me try and get the game back up. Hold on. Screen. Game work. Come on. Come on. Right visual. It's not appearing on my TV. Dang it. Okay, hon. Gotta do this. Do that. Yeah, this is why people have second monitors. Come on. Work. Good. This. And then don't let me down. Put that there. And There we go. Good morning. Time check. Midnight. Thank you. Whoa! 24 hours since last update. Not more eyeballs. Running back up. Transmitting log. Commencing local scan. Oh wait, it's actually there's actual spoken dialogue. I can't hear it. Turn that up real quick. Atmospheric analysis. Nitrogen anomaly. Oxygen anomaly. Argon anomaly. Oh, is it supposed to say normal? Wait. Nominal. Theoretical fifth element, multiple anomalies detected. Oh gosh. Not another demon god pillar. I'm done with y'all. Local space time discrepancy detected. Conclusion. Contact. Class 1 threat. Shifting perception. Range from subjective to objective. Shifting anonymous circuit to reserve power. Shifting diagnostic circuit to main power. Shifting view mode. IR filter inactive. Filter active. Now it begins. Initiating combat log. Ew, why is your eye? Why did you do that? Oh, master, preserve me from harm. Oh gosh, it may actually be a demon god pillar. No. But it was only one eye. Only one eye, so it can't be. Misaki City was a thickly wooded area. Urban development continued unabated, but Mother Nature still drew breath in its outskirts. Wise old trees had been turned to lumber. The leaves had begun to turn to mulch. Even through the birds who curiously tilted their heads had moved on. The verdure lived on, a testament to its enduring strength. Until the time came that the devouring light of civilization became powerful enough to encroach upon nature's mysterious domain. These woods were no exception. The outlying border between Misaki City and Misaki Hill had been left untouched. It's not nearly as important or powerful as a demon god pillar. Okay. He has just weird Beyblade-eyes. Though driven by their nests and dens here, wildlife continued to subsist, even today. No longer able to return to the days before man, this was just like any other forest situated near a town. Oh, Alice! Winter had arrived in the woods. The chill cut like a razor. The icy air so thick it could reach one's bones. Exposed cheeks stiffened, and wisps of breath formed twirls in the air before disappearing. It was 1 degree above freezing. The cold snap penetrated every nook and cranny of the woods, far from the ground to the trees to the wildlife. The forest allowed nobody entry during the day. During the winter, it willed the animals to slumber. Still evening air felt like the stagnant breath of the lingering dead. The forest consumed the moonlight, obscuring the sight of even the closest of precipice, and hastening the untimely doom of any soul unfortunate enough to become lost within. The only noise to be heard were the whisperings of the wind and the murmurings of the stream. Alice's English is one of my favorite parts of the novel. It is really good. The immortal darkness stifled any sense of life. Not the breath of an animal, much less that of a person, was drawn in this place. However, a figure in black, not of this place, skulked within. Oh, there she is! Its cast the tiniest frailest of silhouettes, like a small boat lost in a sea of fog. Its trepidatious footsteps echoed through the woods. There, exiting the veil of trees, was the unmistakable likeness of a young girl.
To see such cleft under this away with the spoon.
来たぞ来たぞ。
いるぞいるぞ。
Someone's here. Someone's here. There they are. There they are.
誰が誰が？
誰と誰が？
Who could they be? Who could they be? Who can they be? Someone and someone?
お腹は減ったの？
お腹は鳴ったさ。
Are you hungry? I'm starving.
どっちが食べる？
どっちも食
Which one should we eat? Let's eat them both.
君は左手。
べる。お前は右手。
You take left. You take right.
歓迎しないと。
感激しないと。
We must welcome them. We must entertain them.
何しろようやく楽しいお客。
After all, we don't often have guests.
ついでにお腹と脛骨も。
せっかくだからよく噛まないと。
While we're at it, the stomach and the tibia. It's not often we get to chew the fat. The shadows in the trees laughed ominously. A hallucination? An illusion? Or perhaps something real? The shadows frolicked in time of the girl's pace. The girl's pace.
さあさあさあさあ。
もっと奥へ、もっと奥へ。
Come, come, deeper and
と
deeper.
ころでダイスは細工済み？
Did you remember to rig the dice?
お腹の重いローデット。
Loaded in nerds they have.
端っこかじったエッジワーク。
Nibble around the edges they be.
どうでもいいけど肝心要の6の目だけは出さないように。
Just remember, don't roll that vital 6. The girl knitted her eyebrows. She heard voices and felt the presence of things that should not be. Scary enough to frighten this particular girl? As if. Her tightly pursed lips betrayed not a hint of fear. The girl walked of her own volition. If she had truly felt fear, her legs would have frozen. Deep within the trees, she was perfectly aware of the two humanoid figures stalking her throughout the still night air.
見たぞ見たぞ。
I saw them, I saw
来
them!
るぞ来るぞ。
They're coming, they're coming!
もう諦めろ。
Give up.
もう帰れない。
There's no going back.
あんなに教えてあげたのに。
We warned
よ
you.
そに消えないお前が悪い。
It's your fault for staying. The girl halted her steps. Racket from the accompanying voices died in turn. The babbling brook suddenly sounded like a crackling fire. And then, across the shallow stream, something appeared that should not exist in the city, much less these woods.
こんばんは。話のわかる人はいる？
Good evening. I don't suppose I could speak to your master. The girl addressed them calmly. These men, with their Glasgow grins, creeped towards her like two slugs.
そう。ただの墓守。監視だけが仕事なのね。
I see. Simple graveyard wards, sent to be lookouts.
失敗したわ。これなら青子に任せればよかった。
My mistake. I should have entrusted this to Alco.
ああ。けど、
However, the one grinning man stood still, the other shaking violently, as if unable to contain himself any longer, turned towards the girl.
青子にはまだ荷が重いわね。
Alco still has a lot on her plate.
そんな姿だけど、あなたたちは一人前の魔術師のようだし。
Although you, far from look the part, you seem to be on the level of a fully fledged mage. Her black outfit stirred. In her right hand she held a Patrice's cat, darker than the deepest nights. Mm-hmm. The two Glasgow men let out a yelp of caution and incoherent fear. It was at this moment that they finally bared their intent and emotion.
さようなら、お客様。
Farewell, my guest.
きっと一瞬だろうから、お別れだけ言っておくわ。
Since this will only take a moment, I offer only a goodbye. The two shuddered at her words. They had no mouths, no ears or brains to begin with. For creatures like these, words were redundant. All that existed was the present. For these soulless creatures, fears and hopes were nothing more than unimaginable future. Then, what could be this feeling of foreboding they felt? The spine-chilling miracle that would rip them to pieces, not moments from now.
さあ、ごっこ遊びをしましょう。
Come
お
then,
人形
puppets.
さん。
Let us play make-believe. Her song sounded like a bell echoing through the white woods. The girl's voice vanquished the frost that had gripped the trees. Then, come on, don't keep us waiting. Come on, it's time for Little Red Riding Hood. The curtains opened on Diddle Diddle, the banquet of the night. In confusion, one slit-mouthed man swooped towards the girl. In fear, the other fled into the woods behind him. The deformed humanoid darted forth, kicking up water as it rushed the girl. She already knew what this fiend was. The grinning figure had scissors for hands and a demon's heart. It was a wretch who kidnapped children, mercilessly rendering them into pieces.
トゥイドル。
Leave it to us. It's finally our turn. The piglets bounded and rebounded like paddle balls. The stuffed animals, over 3 feet in length, jumped and weaved their way between the trees. Ah, that's so cool! Even with these strange creatures before him, the grinning man did not so much as blink. He raised his arms, but what emerged from his coat sleeves were not the human appendages you would expect. In their place, fiendish cleavers more than 1.5 feet in length. These appendages, which had torn so much of their prey to pieces, sliced cleanly through the flying pig's skulls. No! Huh? His limbs froze in place. Basically, all her powers are nursery fairy tale based. They are my favorite in the Natsuverse due to their uniqueness. Yeah, they're pretty cool. The pigs' bodies were sliced perfectly in half. And then, bisected from head to tail, the pig's innards became an alligator jaws and clapped down on the grinning man's arms. From fingertips to shoulders, they were swallowed whole. It was all it took to rob the man of control of his entire body. Oh, that's what the eyeball was. Another shiver of fear. There were no mere pig familiars. Immediately he realized that these were stapler monsters disguised as mere pigs. I got him! No, I got him! Ah, but too bad. Master has no words, no emotion, no interest. In the end, it doesn't really matter who did it. Oh, alarm. Impossible. Its presence murmured 3 times. Not possible, not possible, not possible? Talking pigs were one thing, Even having one's arms chopped off was in the realm of occupational hazard. In an instant, the woods was enveloped in a dense wave of magical energy. Though vexing, it was still impressive. None of these facts were particularly extraordinary. These rare familiars, their bizarre attacks, the sheer innate magical energy to overwhelm others. He had experience with all of these things. His employer was skilled enough to achieve all of this as well. However, what now? What now? How long should we hold him like this? Even a blink of an eye is too long. Let's take an arm. I'll give you a good price if you pay me in pounds. What were they? Not vessels, not living creatures, not beings powered by magic circuits. Even though only his arms had been bitten, none of his body would move. It was nothing like being bound or weakened. This felt more like he had become words written in a book fated to keep their page. As the grinning figure's deformities indicated, he had overcome numerous curiosities and monstrosities, illusions, enthrallment, compulsions, freezings, petrifications, even petrifications, a power granted to only the pinnacle of mystic eyes. From poisons to matecraft, he had weathered a great deal, but this was something different altogether. The penalty that bound him now was based on different principles from blood, flesh, oxygen, or heat. It was unknown restraint that followed no rule he knew. Indeed, though it was terrifying to admit, it was as if he'd encountered something alien to everything in this world. Fangs sank into his left and right shoulders. For the first time in this form, he felt rage seethe upon inside him. The basis of all things he had to be absolute. All mystics, all things bizarre, obeyed some sort of laws. But these pigs ignored this, along with his dignity. After 3 days, you weakened. After 6, you drowned. After half a year, you'll be a wretched skeleton. Sorry to be rude, but we'll just kill you, right? Kill you now. A howl. Though he had no voice, he let out an exasperated scream. Huh? Huh? What a convenient function to be able to detach your arms. What an unparalleled warrior. The talkative pigs fell into the stream. That exasperated scream was the sound of the figure tearing his arms from their sockets. Armless, he rushed the girl. He's a swine. I'll see you punished later. He may have lost his mangled arms, but not the object of his malice. A mystic eye to pierce the heart of its victims. A magic circuit designated to stop a beating heart. It was beautiful in its simplicity. At point-blank range, it was the equivalent of an unavoidable shotgun blast. But, tragically, that eye was all he had. The fairy tale mystics are so reality warping, it's considered the only way for a non-magician to access a pseudo-true magic. Whoa, that's crazy. He failed to realize that her song had changed. Oh, geesh! For the giant, the earth-shaking strike was akin to the act of shooing away an insect. Its green verdant veins pulsed. Oaken bark covered its body, hardened sufficiently over centuries to repel even a chainsaw. On its forehead, inscribed in all manners of colors, was the word Emmet. Though judging from its misspelling, the inscription was purely decorative. Wow! The Themis Troll. He also went by the moniker Falling Down. Or alternatively, the Great Bridge. Sorry, there are other cop-outs, yeah. Admired in different forms, it was the first of 4 miracles. Themis, please take care of the other one. The giant responded to the girl's words. With the roots rent deep into the earth, it raised its left arm to the heavens without moving a step. Ah, that was cool. Elsewhere in the forest, the grinning figure had chosen to flee the battle was running through the night forest at full speed. Record and provide a detailed description of the enemy. Those were the orders assigned to him. He poured all his energy into escaping this forest with which he had become so familiar. In case of emergency, the plan was for one to challenge the enemy while the other made a tactical retreat to report to their master. He dashed through the forest. Though gripped by fear, he was confident in his ability to perform the mission he was designed for. Nothing could catch him in these woods. Even the wolves could not track him. His bird-like legs thumped as they kicked the ground. Perhaps it was his creator's eccentric taste that dictated their form when optimizing them for running. The grinning man could reach a maximum speed of 45 miles per hour, well past the limit of any bipedal creature. After securing a distance of several miles, he turned around to confirm his safety. There was no sign of pursuit. His crescent-shaped moon, eyes slackened in relief, and then, after facing forward once more, he looked up to lock eyes with his doom.
London Bridge is broken down.
In the distance, he could hear the dark rhymes of Mother Goose. Countless veins extended from the ground. They formed into a monstrosity that conjured up images of an arced bridge, something resembling a great arm.
London Bridge is broken down, my fair lady.
That's so cool! Final report. Survival unable to complete. Analysis unable to complete. Transmission unable to complete. Ending session. Ah, oh master, preserve me from... That was so cool! Ah, that was awesome! I think we're about done here. Well done, Themis. You can return now. Hopefully our next encounter will be more worth our time. The girl turned on her heel. The invaders who had set up shop in the woods were eliminated. She had no interest in whether they had been good or evil, nor how many victims they had claimed. The shackles of civic society held no sway over her. This was the way of a pureblood witch, the way of a minster. Hey, what about us? What about us? Help me get this arm out my teeth! We really shouldn't move while we're eating. Don't tell us you don't need pigs that can't fly! We'll do a better job next time. Though we're nothing but screw-ups. Yeah, you owe us at least one compliment before the end. The girl let out a sigh and stepped into the stream. She removed her gloves and dipped her slender fingers into the ice water. I told you not to roll sixes. I suppose it's the only number you can roll. There was no response to her melancholy tone. In place of the once boisterous pigs were two black dice now sitting in the palm of her hands. As the girl was able to say something to the scattered remains around her, she realized something that made her put a hand to her mouth. The farewell is over. Should I have asked them if they had any last words? Her slender pale fingers traced her lips as if reluctant to part from them. Sighing again, she calmly left the woods the same way she had entered. This fragment telling of bygone days ends here. Now we must fix our lenses and return to the very beginning. I have 5%. What do you mean? Make yourself comfortable. We kept you waiting long and oh gosh. Which on the wait. If it's a PV, I might have to. Arrogant, greedy, and able only to destroy. I must be a wolf. I don't have regrets. There's no looking back. It's only a 5-minute segment. I can make it! Probably. There's no looking back. If my pride has left you behind, my sincerest condolences. But at any rate, I suppose it's my fate to die at the hands of Little Red Riding Hood. Strange one. It was a quiet morning. From her bed, she could see the sky was ashen watercolor gray. The thermometer displayed 43 degrees Fahrenheit, a rather unforgiving temperature for November. The stomach woke her up in a growl, pathetically reminding her that she had completely missed breakfast. The lazy mornings like today were, for her, a blessing. It was already well past 8 in the morning. On any other ordinary workday, tardiness would be unavoidable, but today classes were cancelled in commemoration of the school's anniversary. Gratefully, she had every intention of taking it easy for the first time in ages. Outside the window was a gloomy gray. It reminded her more of evening than morning. It was an unpleasant morning by any stretch of the imagination. But having been up all night until just 3 hours ago, she couldn't care less about weather outside. All she cared about was more sleep. Percent. As long as she could spend her morning in bed, what was happening outside was of no concern to her. I cannot hear any background. No! Hold on. Yep. Switching back from my game to the talk screen messes up my OBS for some reason. Come on. She shut the curtains. No, now my capture card's not working. Oh, massive lag. Oh gosh. Hold on. This is not the time to act up. Capture card. I have 4%. Just finish it while you charge. I can't. I only have 2 outlets. One's for the capture card, And then the others for the mic. I don't have enough. There's only 2 outlets. Then close her eyes and let the sleep reclaim her. I like to have a nice, uneventful dream for 2 hours, thank you. Blissful slumber found her soon enough. Her consciousness faded. However, her simple request would be mercilessly refused. It meant while you still have charge. Yeah. A faint but shrill sound lingered in her ears. It was the unmistakable ring of a telephone. Much to her chagrin, out of habit, her eyes popped open. Oh, come on, why today of all days? The telephone was situated in the foyer on the first floor. Answering it meant walking down a 30-foot corridor and going down a flight of stairs. In her sleep-deprived state, that distance seemed somewhere between incredibly far and astronomically far. The phone's incessant ringing continued. She knew the caller would eventually give up if she ignored it, but she chose to fight the urge. Why doesn't Alice answer it? She thought her housemate would get it, but she soon had to abandon all hope. The realization struck that her housemate did not have the day off from school and was likely in class at her prestigious little hilltop academy. The caller proved incredibly persistent. That persistence made the volume of the ringing seem even louder. I'm trying to sleep here. She was left with no choice but to get up, throw a top on, and leave the room. It's cold! She rubbed her hands together to warm her numb fingers. The mansion's heating system was inadequate, to say the least, which meant that winter was the very worst of the uninvited guests. Never more so than on a dreary morning as this, when one didn't need to use a thermometer to know how cold it was. The mansion sat in the mountains and was surrounded by dense forests. Winter always arrived here first, before moving on to nearby towns. The robotic ring of the telephone reverberated throughout the long hallway. The mansion's furnishings had been so perfectly maintained that it made the place feel unlived. It seemed lonelier than it did splendid. Coupled with the dreary morning, it could have passed for a haunted house. Well, it is a haunted house, I suppose. It's too large just for the 2 of us. She counted more than 30 rings since it first began. The caller either had a lot of free time on their hand or had a good understanding of the house's circumstances. She had a strong hunch that it was the latter. The window above looked out onto a gloomy sky. She hastened to catch an unrelenting ring in the act as soon as possible, though she had a feeling that her happy morning might come to a close the moment she caught it. It was here that a series of incidents began. Apologies for the lack of romance to this tale, for whether it be objectively true or merely superstition. It is always from gloomy and unassuming beginnings that extraordinary events are set into motion. Did we make it? No! Everything until now has been but a portrait of peace. From this point begins the story of a slightly naive, unassuming young witch. Wait. Okay. It should be fine. Wait. I mean, that's the regular game music, so it should be fine. As long as We don't hear anyone singing. It should be fine. But we did it! Yeah! There's some complications, but yeah, you made it. Let's go! I really need to figure out how to work with only 2 outlets. I need to ask my friends who work at Best Buy the best solution for this. I need Geek Squad to help me out. The red umbrella, foreshadowing. Let's go. It's really hot in this room right now. It was cold, but with the laptop heating up, it got really hot. Let's go. Woo, music by Hideyuki Fukusawa Keita Haga. It's great music. Every time I use Alco's MP in Figurant Order and hear that music, it's like, oh, let's go. It's so peak. The background art, yeah, and the background art is amazing. Oh my gosh. You. Maybe multi-socket extension. I'll have to find a good one. I tried 2 before and neither worked, so I need to find a better one. Graphics. Yeah, well, this is a good test run for how things would end up. Oh gosh, 1%! Ah! I'm gonna have to unplug the mic for now, and I'll just let this play. So for now, thank you all for watching. I hope you have a good day, night, evening. I'll make the schedule and thumbnails later. Everyone have a good day, night, evening. Thank you for watching. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and bye!